Vukenjani Kekwas Etitandona Likaleliwa. Welcome to Africa Good Morning, the news and current affairs show, bringing you everything that you need to know happening on the African continent and beyond. You are joined by Ashwin Bedi and Glenora Shipura. Good morning, Glenn.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm fantastic.
Are you nervous for
nervous?
Tomorrow?
I don't know if you said nervous for the news.
No. For tomorrow.
Maybe a little bit nervous. I'm having my traditional wedding tomorrow. Yeah, certainly nervous. Anytime you need approval from the ancestors, it's not quite as clear as a WhatsApp group chat.
I know.
The messages,
but
I'm
quite excited. Actually.
Yeah,
as am I.
Yes.
Pretty soon we'll be saying Mr. Mberi.
Yeah. So right now you've just been saying just Mberi.
Mberi, Ashwin. Actually, I don't. So I need to get in line.
That's fair.
Well, getting into what you can expect in today's broadcast, legal scholars condemn consent judgments as potential sources of fraud and corruption. 645 out of more than 5,200 former guerrillas receiving pensions, and armed men abduct 8 in northern Nigeria state. Residents say will also be crossing over to Mike Sichula, who'll be filling us in on the latest news in Zambia. To stay tuned for these and more news on Africa Good Morning.
Neo Paints has established a 67-year Namibian legacy, creating personalized paint solutions that blend quality and innovation for the Namibian people. We pride ourselves in being a 100% Namibian-owned company, investing in our country and our people by employing and empowering true Namibians. With every brushstroke, Neo Paints commits to our quality guarantee and always delivering a coat of excellence. At Neo Paints, we always stay true to our country. We are as Namibian as you.
All right, let's get straight into our top stories. Two academics, Professor Munandulo of Cornell University and Dr. O'Brien Kaba of the University of Zambia, have raised concerns regarding recently entered consent judgments, describing them as potential avenues for fraud and corruption. Professor Ndulo and Dr. Kaba have questioned the legitimacy of the settlements, pointing to either a lack of sound legal justification or awards with significantly inflated legal costs. They are dismayed at the apparent inaction of oversight institutions, particularly the Anti-Corruption Commission in Zambia, which they believe should play a pivotal role in safeguarding public resources. In their joint statement, they have scholars cited specific cases such as that of Kaiser Zulu, where they argued that there was no moral or legal basis for the state to compensate individuals injured in his private capacity. For example, in the case of Kaiser Zulu, it's clear he was not acting on behalf of the state and there is no moral or legal justification whatsoever, and this was according to the two professors. They called on President Hichilema to critically assess his legal team, urging the dismissal of individuals involved in what they perceive as questionable dealings.
In our next story, President of Mozambique, Filipe Nyusi, said yesterday that 645 of the more than 5,200 former Renamo guerrillas covered by the disarmament, demobilization and reintegration process have already started receiving pensions, criticizing those attempting to misinform the public on the matter. To date, 645 DDR beneficiaries have already started receiving their pensions. Those who said that this will not happen continue to say that, but things are on the ground. Nyusi said in Maputo at the opening of the Ministry of the Interior Consultative Council. Another statement comes after public criticism from former guerrillas and commanders from the Mozambican National Resistance regarding alleged delays and problems in the attribution of these pensions agreed with the government as part of the DDR process. President Nyusi was updating the number of pensions allocated precisely so that people aren't misinformed and so that those who are misinforming people become increasingly harmed because they create confusion.
Now, gunmen kidnapped at least 8 people in an attack on the Danhonu community in Nigeria's northern Kaduna state, and this was according to residents yesterday. Kidnapping for ransom is rife in northwest Nigeria, where armed gangs, often referred to locally as bandits, have targeted schools, villages and travelers, making it unsafe to travel by road or to farm in some areas. Kaduna police spokesperson Mansour Hassan said the police are investigating the incident, which occurred late Tuesday in Chikum local government area of the state. Mohammed Danjuma, a resident who was spared, told Reuters about 16 people were taken but 8 managed to get away. As they were busy trying to break into my apartment, one of the vigilantes in the community fired a shot into the air which made the bandits uncomfortable and left, he said. Namalam Suleiman, another resident who was kidnapped, managed to escape while being led into the bushes.
Now, in our next story, amidst these calls for regulatory compliance, Dr. Simon Ageyemang Dua, welfare chairman of the Traditional Herbalist Association of Ghana, urged Ghanaian women to reconsider traditional methods for family planning. He cautioned against the use of conventional contraceptives, citing potential health risk. Traditional Dr. Ageyemang Dua, CEO of Ageyengo Herbal, emphasized the importance of a balanced diet. He advised the public to be mindful of their dietary choices, advocating for increased consumption of fruits and vegetables. As the GAF takes a firm stand against unlicensed practitioners, the broader conversation includes appeals for financial support from the government. Traditional medicines advocates stress the need for recognition and integration into existing healthcare frameworks, believing it can enhance community healthcare outcomes.
Now, a senior Hamas official said on Wednesday that the Palestinian Islamist movement was ready to release all Israeli soldiers it was holding in exchange for all Palestinians imprisoned in Israel. Now, there is a current truce which began last Friday for 4 days before being extended for the first time for 2 days. Since then, the parties have been holding talks with the mediators led by Qatar to ensure that fighting does not resume in the Gaza Strip. Now, since then, 74 individuals, including women and children, compared to 180 Palestinian prisoners held in Israeli jails, again including women and men under 19, are yet to be freed.
Now, wrapping up our top stories, Nepal has registered its first same-sex marriage, which activists hailed as a victory for LGBT rights. Authorities in the western Lumjung district formally registered the union of Maya Gurang, 35, and Sandra Pandey, 27, on Wednesday. It came 5 months after the Supreme Court issued an interim order allowing same-sex couples to register their marriages. Taiwan is the only other place in Asia that has legalized same-sex marriage. Gurong told the BBC that their registration was a big day, not just for the couple, but all sexual minorities.
Stay with Africa Good Morning as we talk to Mike Sichula in Zambia after the break.
Neo Paints has established a 67-year Namibian legacy, creating personalized paint solutions that blend quality and innovation for the Namibian people. We pride ourselves in being a 100% Namibian-owned company, investing in our country and our people by employing and empowering true Namibians. With every brushstroke, Neo Paints commits to our quality guarantee and always delivering a coat of excellence. At Neo Paints, we always stay true to our country. We are as Namibian as you.
All right, we're going to get straight into our top stories with Mike Sichula, where a former government minister in Namibia from the previous administration has been jailed for 5 months for hate speech. Mike Urubanji, please take us into your top story.
Africa, good morning. Tiribuino Muripwanji. Yes, indeed. Former Minister of Information, former Minister of Sports, former Minister of Labour, Mr. Chimba Kambwili, has been sentenced to 5 months imprisonment for hate speech. This is in a case he was charged with the offence of expressing hatred and ridicule of the people of Southern Province based on tribe and place of origin. So the people of Southern Province, this is where President Hakainde Hichilema is coming from. So from during the political campaigns ahead of the 2021 general elections, issues of tribalism are very rife and they are used by politicians to disadvantage one another. So in this case, Mr. Gambwili, 54, appeared before Magistrate Samson Mumba for judgment, and Dr. Gambwili was found guilty and is expected to appear both the conviction and the sentence. But as we speak, yesterday he spent his first night in prison in northern province Kasama.
Now, moving on to your next story, President Hakainde Hichilema is, among other heads of state, attending the COP28 summit in the United Arab Emirates. Can you get into that?
Yes, so President Hichilema is attending in his capacity as a chairperson of some African nations at the COP28. So during this summit, President Hichilema is expected to use to meet French President Emmanuel Macron, also Chinese Premier, to discuss, among other issues, the debt restructuring, which was going very well for the current administration. But news that has come out is that the debt restructuring has met some resistance from bond holders. So President Hichilema said that he was going to use this summit to see how he can mobilize resources for agreed actions in order to protect countries and the environment. While there, the president says we also attend the World Climate Action Summit, G777, and meet Chinese leaders from the summit, amongst other high-table meetings. So it is expected to be a very busy foreign trip for the president as he tries to ensure that the debt restructuring comes back into track.
All right, Mike. Now, on a rather sad note, a 40-year-old man is in police custody for defiling 7 girls aged between 9 and 15 in the capital, Lusaka. Tell us about that story.
Yes, this has happened in Lusaka's Kabanana compound, which is a densely populated compound. So this case was discovered by some of the neighbors because this gentleman owns a shop in the area, and according to the to what one of the victims told authorities is that the suspect would tell the girls to come into his shop he would offer them sweets and biscuits. Then he would make them to sit on his laps whilst he has undressed them, and he does what he was doing. So this vice continued from one girl to another, until 7 girls have come up and testified and told authorities that yes, this man, this is what he did, and he used to do a similar pattern to lure them to his shop where he could commit this crime. So he almost bolted, but police managed to track him down, and as we speak, he's in police custody. His shop that he's been operating has since been closed, and police have also sent in the security so that the shop is not looted, and also his house is not looted because of mob justice. But it is a sad story coming out from Lusaka's Kabanana compound.
It is truly sad indeed, and also very disturbing. I mean, the girls were aged between 9 to 15. That's very young. Now, moving on to your next story. The Copper Queens are one step away from qualifying for the 2024 Women's Cup of Nations. This is some good news.
Yes, indeed, some good news because on Wednesday, the Copper Queens managed to beat Angola 6-0 at their backyard, meaning the return leg that will be played on the Copper Belt at the Ndola's Levi Mwanawasa Stadium is something that could be of a formality if compliance does not creep into the girls and lose by maybe 7 or 8-0. So according to coach Bruce Mwape, he says the team will be aiming to finish off Angola in the reverse fixture despite the 6-0 thumping in the first leg. So, and also speaking to after the game, Mwape said that the future is far from over, and he hopes that the team can be supported back home by cooperating sponsorship, and also ensure that the girls remain focused ahead of the return leg, because after the return leg, if they qualify to the WAFCON, then they need now to pursue the Paris Olympic Games, which is also a mammoth tournament, and the girls are trying to use this to see if they can qualify for both events.
You're saying the game is coming up soon?
Yeah, the game is coming up on the 5th of December at the Levi Mwanawasa Stadium on the Copper Belt province.
Oh, okay. No, I was trying to see if it was coming in tomorrow when I'm paying lobola for Zambian women, so I can ask my negotiators to switch the TV on as the Copper Queens qualify to see if that can aid my intentions. But we'll see how it goes. Thank you, Mike, for bringing us the news stories.
All right, thank you very much. We'll soon be looking forward to that paying of lobola, because certainly when you come in, then our support to the Queens will definitely increase.
I will personally deliver the cattle. Those have been our stories with Mike Sichula in Zambia. We're going to head to the weather.
Welcome to My.NA Cars, your ultimate destination for everything automotive.
I am your host, Diana Master.
Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Discover the latest models, innovative technologies, and expert insights from our passionate hosts. Learn essential maintenance tips and get exclusive behind-the-scenes access to the automotive industry. Don't miss My.NA Cars on NTV every Thursday at 2100 hours. Tune in and ignite your passion for automobiles.
In economic news stories, Centum Investment Company narrowed its net loss by 2/3 to 426.4 million Kenyan shillings in the half year ended September, helped by a recovery in real estate business. The company made a larger net loss of 1.29 billion Kenyan shillings in a similar period a year earlier. Its property business, comprising Centum Real Estate subsidiary, posted a profit, reversing a loss. Now, the Two Rivers Development Project also narrowed its loss from 984.7 million Kenyan shillings to 777.3.
Moving on, the lawsuit against the highly contentious Ugandan Tanzania oil project has been rejected by a regional court in East Africa. Since the project's conception, several environmental and human rights groups have objected to its initiation. These organizations have emphasized the humanitarian catastrophe that the project is sure to leave in its wake. Now, the regional court dismissed the case because the case was not within its jurisdiction. The court also disclosed that the case was brought in a little too late, according to a report by the East African News publication.
All right, let's head to the economic indicators just before the sport.
Good day, everyone. Time for international sports news, starting off with soccer news first. And in soccer news from the Champions League, games were played in Group A, B and C in the Champions League. And firstly, in Group B, it is Arsenal that reached the Champions League knockout phases. And that is after they thumped Lens. And the score at the Emirates Stadium was 6-0. And it's Arsenal that's through to the last 16. Arsenal didn't play in the Champions League the last seven years, so a great performance by them to reach the final 16. And also in Group B, it was PSG Eindhoven that beat Seville. That game was played at Seville. The score there was 3-2. And it's also PSV Eindhoven with 8 points looking likely to go through to the last 16 as well. In Group C, it's Real Madrid that beat Napoli by 4-2, and they comfortably lead Group C. They've got 15 points, and Napoli's got 7 points. That is in Group C. Then in Group A, it was not a good performance by Manchester United. Manchester United played against Galatasaray, and they from Turkey. That game was played in Istanbul, and that game ended 3-3. And it is Manchester United that's bottom of the 4 teams in Group A, and going to be difficult for them to reach the top 16. And it is also in Group A, it was Bayern Munich that had a 0-0 draw against FC Copenhagen. So Bayern Munich leading Group A by 13 points, and FC Copenhagen second by 5 points. Continuing international sports news with golf news, and it is Ryder Cup news. Ryder Cup is a team competition for men that is played between Europe and the United States. This year, a month ago in Rome, it was Europe that won the game 16.5 to 11.5 against the USA. The captain was Luke Donald of the European team, and it was confirmed by the European team that he will also captain the European team in 2 years' time, in 2025, when they play in New York. That is when they defend their title, and that game will be played, of course, then in the USA. Only once before, a captain of Europe could win in the USA and in Europe, and that was Tony Jacklin that achieved that way back in 1985 and 1987. So Luke Donald trying to emulate him by winning in New York in 2025. And closing off today's international sports news, it is cricket news, and it's cricket news related to Ben Stokes. He's the captain of the England cricket team, and it's confirmed that he had surgery on his knee. He's been battling with knee injury for quite some months. In fact, in the World Cup that just concluded in India, it was Ben Stokes that only played in the tournament as a batsman. He is an all-rounder that normally bat and bowl, and also a few months ago in the Ashes series against Australia, he also didn't bowl in any of the last 3 test matches. Ben Stokes also earlier announced that he will not play in the Indian Premier League. He's been playing for the Chennai Super Kings, and he was their most expensive international player. They bought him for $2 million for the season of 2022, and because of injury, he just played 2 games for the Chennai Super Kings, but he's not going to play in the 2023 tournament, and he indicated that for the Chennai Super Kings. Ben Stokes indicated that he hoped to be ready for the 5-test series against India. That will start in January in 2024, in a few months' time, so it's not lots of time for him to recover from the surgery, but Ben Stokes said that he hoped to recover to be able to play in the 5 tests and also be able to bowl. That's international sports news for today. Hope you have a great sport day, and we talk international sport again tomorrow. Goodbye.
This has been Africa Good Morning. Let's head into our highlights. Legal scholars condemn consent judgments as potential sources of fraud and corruption in Zambia. 645 out of more than 5,200 former guerrillas receiving pensions in Mozambique. Centum narrows half-year loss to 426 million Kenyan shillings.
And with that, we've come to the end of our broadcast. Thank you for joining us all week. From me, Glenn Rashipura.
And me, Ashwin Bedi, Swerazwakanaka.